What's up, guys? Welcome back to the round 14, episode 11. And you may
11.
notice that Tony is sporting a new chapeau. Very nice hat, Tony.
Like that, huh?
That's
Also
courtesy
behind my
of
shoulder there,
the round
new sign
14
on my wall.
round 14 road sign. Courtesy of our good friend Rick Babcock at
Mhm.
Rocco Bob 33.
Yep, go on Instagram there and hit up Rick, and he'll make them for you, either a hat or a T-shirt or a street sign. And if you know I'm around 14, he does others as well. But it's pretty cool. If you do like the show, support it. We don't get anything from it; it all goes to Rick. So
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
know, it's
No,
his
he
stuff
does
there. We don't
some
need it,
he
but
does some great work.
it comes out real nice. It really does.
Yeah, looks good. Looks good, Tony.
Yeah, I thought I'd put it on today to give him a little shout. So pretty cool.
Absolutely. Anyways, so we got a pretty big show today.
Yeah, we have a
Um,
lot to talk about.
it's a blockbuster episode. Two of the biggest action stars of the 80s. The rivalry, the friendship, the movies. We got lots to go ahead. So why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically Arnold and Sly, and if you were around at that time, you went to the movies and whatnot. Maybe some people that are watching maybe are too young to have seen that, but from the '80s through the '90s, it was one after another. I mean, it seemed like every other month there was another movie. It obviously wasn't that quick, but seemed like it. There
Yeah.
was a movie coming out by Arnold, and then there was a movie coming out by Sly. And then 6 months later, another movie came out by Arnold, another movie came out by Sly. And these weren't like second rated B direct to DVD movies.
No.
Well, first of all, because there was no DVD then, but that's besides the point. But second of all, these were big hits. I mean, we'll go down the list. We'll touch base on some of them a little
Yeah.
deeper than others.
Mm-hmm.
But it started in 1976 when Sly had his most famous film, which of course was Rocky.
Mm-hmm.
And those that don't know, Arnold's film role was called Stay Hungry, played a
Right.
bodybuilder,
Mm-hmm.
and he did a decent job. Actually, he did such a good job that they nominated him for a Golden Globe for best newcomer.
That's right. And he actually had to cut a little bit of weight for the role. He was, still in the heyday of Mr. Olympia. That was with Jeff Bridges and Sally Field.
Yep,
that movie.
yeah.
So it was actually a pretty decent movie. It's turned into a bit of a cult classic.
Mm-hmm.
Probably a lot of people don't know about it, but that was the first taste of, Rocky, or excuse me, Sly versus Arnie. Right. Well, we got that.
And supposedly that's when their feud started, but we'll touch base on that later. But
Right.
supposedly 77, after those two films came out, that's when that
Mhm.
feud started.
Yeah.
I guess we'll talk about that later. But a few years later, 1982, they had some big ones, both of them, very big ones actually.
Right.
You had Rocky 3 and Conan, and they
Right.
were, I mean, huge.
Right.
They were big films.
Yeah, they were huge. And then we get in that same time we get First Blood, Rocky 3, Conan, like you said, Conan the Barbarian. And that was 1983. That was this is when it really started to rev up, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, it was Conan again wasn't really no slump of a movie.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it pretty much put Arnold on the map. He wasn't just a muscle bound guy playing a role.
No.
He's becoming the action hero, and of
Mhm.
course, Rocky 3 was massive. I mean, so
Yeah.
that was the start of it.
Right.
1984, when Arnold really took off.
Yeah.
I mean, stratosphere star. He had the Terminator,
Mm-hmm.
and Sly had a movie called Rhinestone,
Which I
where-
would say is an acquired taste.
It's as a Sly fan, of course, I watched it. I know you
Yeah.
watched it, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
I all due respect to Sly, Mr. Stallone, I wouldn't put it against the Terminator, but fun movie to watch.
Yeah, it is a fun movie to watch. But you're right. 1984, Terminator was probably the biggest blockbuster
Massive.
that came out that year. Now I mean, in this category. Anyways, there was a lot of other movies that come out, but
Yeah, I mean, Karate
that
Kid
put
came out
Arnold.
that year.
Yeah.
You know, that was massive.
Mhm.
But yeah, for this category, for these guys here, 84 Terminator really took the cake. But Sly bounced back in 85.
He
He
sure
had
did.
a couple hits in 85.
And
You
then
could say
also
that.
Arnold came out with
And
two
Arnold
pretty
came
big
in. Now,
movies as
this is
well.
really when Arnold became the action hero with
Mhm.
Commando. And then he followed over. It was kind of a sequel, or not a sequel, but
Mm.
maybe a continuation of a Conan story with Red Sonja.
Right.
But Sly just, I mean, Rambo 2 and Rocky 4,
Right.
it just, it's blew out the roofs. I mean, it was
Yeah.
just ridiculous how much money those two movies made.
But again, we as fans reap the benefits of all these movies, right? Because you've got them coming out. Like you said, you've got Commando and Red Sonja, you've got Rocky 4, you've got First Blood Part 2. So it just didn't seem to slow down. And I don't know if it was a healthy competition, or one to want to be better at the box office, or they want to have the bigger action movie. But we
It
were
was probably both.
certainly,
I mean,
yeah.
obviously they're competitive people,
Mhm.
to say the least, perfectionists. I
Right.
mean, he's a professional bodybuilder, so he has discipline.
Hmm.
Sly obviously has discipline. Look at his body condition in Rocky
Right.
4 and Rambo 2.
Hmm.
So it was probably I want to be. I mean, it wasn't like Sly didn't know who Arnold was and didn't
That's
know of
right.
his movies, and people probably started. He's pretty big, and now he's blowing things up, and
Hmm.
so it was definitely a healthy competition, and wanting to be the bigger box office star, and of course the money probably didn't hurt either.
No, that's right.
And that
And
was
then
85.
86, it continued. We got Cobra from Stallone, and we got Raw Deal from Schwarzenegger. And I tell you right now, if you're a bad guy, I would not want to have either one of these guys looking for you. Right?
I know, right? They definitely, the diseases meet the cure, and
Yeah.
nobody gives him a raw deal. Good
Yeah.
taglines there.
Oh yeah, there
And
was no
that was
shortage
the
of
big thing
one-liners.
too. Yeah, after Terminator with the "I'll be back,"
Hmm.
Commando had their one-liners, and Rambo 2 had the one-liners.
Hmm.
Cobra, and that's when the action star one-liner became really big.
Yeah,
It started going.
you've got your action, you've got your you shoot them up in car chases and blood and guts, and but then you've got the one-liners too, and it just was a great time to be going to the movies, right? Like we
Oh
just
yeah,
enjoyed it all.
oh yeah, definitely.
Now they weren't maybe the best that they've done. Like we all compare when he brings out Rocky, he raises the bar pretty high, and um, you know, and we're gonna get into what Schwarzenegger did with Terminator and what he is coming out in 87. But it's just fun movies, right? Just good
Yeah, I
times
mean,
and
they're
go to
just
the
it's
movies and have
entertainment.
some fun.
It's entertainment.
Hmm.
The storyline is just fun action heroes. It's entertainment. It doesn't have to be Rocky, where it's
Hmm.
a great drama, great story, great love story, great boxing training
Yeah.
scenes. It doesn't have to be all that for us to love the movie.
No,
I
that's right.
mean, Rocky 4 was his biggest film at the time,
Hmm.
and it was, to say the least, the lightest in the story department, I guess you could say, as
Hmm.
far as like a drama best picture story.
Right.
So yeah, you can't compare that to Rocky. That's really not very fair. He had, but they all had just the action movie. It's like
Hmm.
your little boy playing outside with GI Joes and blowing things up, and
Yeah.
running around
Yeah.
and shooting and whatnot.
Yeah.
That's what it was on the screen.
Yeah. And just like when Head Commando, we wanted to get the paint on us, right? And put the paint on
Exactly.
us and go out there and play in the woods, and we had a great time. But
Yeah.
87 continued,
Yep.
right? And Schwarzenegger bounced back with a huge blockbuster in Predator. He also had Running Man,
Yep.
and then Sly came back with one of my favorites, Over the Top.
Over the Top, yeah. And that's a cult classic too.
Hmm.
It's another movie that has its, of course, the Sly following, and the cult classic following.
Hmm.
Good film, good feel
Yeah.
good film. Couldn't get that
Hmm.
out.
Great
It's
soundtrack, right?
yeah, yeah,
Awesome soundtrack to that one.
it was. And Predator was, the the in the woods again with
Mhm.
gigantic machine guns and bomb
Mhm.
guns and
A
grenade
huge,
guns and
don't forget a huge cast in Predator, right? So
yeah,
you've got
yeah, there
Carl
was a
Weathers, you got Jesse Ventura, you got Bill Duke, right?
yep.
You've got a massive cast,
It
lots of
was almost
action.
like the Expendables before the Expendables.
A
A
little
little
bit,
bit, right?
yeah. So maybe Sly saw that a little bit, and
And The
you
Running
know,
Man, that was a movie based on that's a Stephen King short story
mhm,
based on that. So it was a little different than the book if you did read the book before you saw the movie,
mhm,
but the premise was the same.
right.
And that did actually pretty well. It actually
It
did pretty
did,
well.
and you know what? It was a just a totally different concept, right? Like nobody had come up with that before, and
Right.
it was just something to see. And then you throw Arnold in there, so you get some more action. 88, it didn't slow down again, right? We rev it back up,
No, and by then now it was the time where you put Arnold on a poster, it's going to make money.
right?
You put Sly on a poster, it's going to make money.
Yeah, yeah.
So this
Huge,
was the
huge
huge
movies,
heyday.
right? So Arnold has twins and Red Heat, James Belushi, and Sly has, of course, Rambo 3. So again, we are just reaping the benefits of these movies.
Hmm. And Twins was Twins was hysterical,
Yeah,
and
Twins
that
is
was
great.
Twins was hysterical. I know they both Rhinestone Sly tried his threw his hat in the ring for comedy, so kind of, and Twins obviously a comedy,
Mhm.
but the pairing of those two was perfect. It was
Well,
classic.
you got Schwarzenegger, you got Danny DeVito. I just come off a midnight shift, and some of the things we like to do to keep ourselves going is we do movie lines. And I was discussing with a friend, and she's a big movie buff, I tell you. And we were doing some of the twins lines, and we were laughing. And it's like 3 in the morning, and it gets you through the night. But
Right.
we were reciting lines back and forth, and Danny DeVito was so good in that movie. Of course, Schwarzenegger was great too, but. Obviously we discussed Rambo 3 before. Massive hits too, right? So,
Yeah, they were definitely not shy on the money they were making back then. That's
mhm.
for sure.
No,
After that,
and
we had
then
'89 where nothing came out from Arnold.
no,
We had Lockup and Tango and Cash
yeah.
for Sly.
So it was
Uh,
almost like, to me, it was almost like, okay, he brings out Rambo 3 in 88, and Arnold brings out two movies, and Sly says, well, okay, well, I'm going to bring out two movies in 89 because Arnold's not bringing out anything. And Lockup
right?
was a huge movie. I loved it. I loved Lockup. And Tango Cash was that comedy, the buddy cop movie, right?
Yep, the
So
buddy
for
cop,
Russell,
exactly. Yeah, they were trying.
I always wondered, I wish they kind of did another Tango and Cash, and I thought they had a little bit of there was more story there.
They could have. I mean, it
Mhm,
definitely has a Lethal Weapon feel to it.
mhm.
And they could have definitely done some more of them. Again, who knows the reasons why behind the
Yeah.
scenes. Um, but Lockup, I agree, Tim. Lockup's one of my favorite
Yeah.
non-Rocky movies.
Hmm.
That one I really liked a lot. It was a good
No, that's
film.
right. Yeah, and so I mean, there was lots of talk about the rivalry, right, in the 80s, and
Yeah.
a healthy rivalry, sure. I mean, it sold tickets, right? It's
Oh,
certainly
it
because
absolutely
everybody
sold
wanted to go
tickets,
see what was going on.
and I'm sure there was Team Sly and Team Arnold back
Yeah.
then. But again, now we didn't have social media, we didn't have our phones where you could see everything and anything. You had to wait for talk shows or for
Hmm.
magazines and stuff. So there might be a lot that we didn't know about,
Hmm.
that we never saw. We didn't hear about it until later on. But
Right.
both confirmed, Arnold and Sly both confirmed they definitely did not like each other back
Hmm.
then.
Hmm.
They had a lot of animosity, and from what I read, it started in '77 when Sly was nominated for the Golden Globe for Rocky,
Hmm.
and Arnold was nominated for Best Newcomer in Stay Hungry.
Hmm.
And Sly did not win Best Actor
Right.
for Rocky, and Arnold did win.
Right.
And supposedly, one of them had a comment, and the other laughed about it. Yeah, well, if you won, you wouldn't have had type of deal. So, it took on a life of its own after that,
Right.
and it just went on. But then by the time I guess you could say the mid '80s, when they were a little more amicable to each other,
Hmm. Hmm.
and then of course Planet Hollywood happened,
Right.
where people started to wonder, like, was it a big PR stunt or was it
Yeah.
real? But like I said, the two gentlemen said it was real. It was a
Yeah.
real. They did not care for each other.
Yeah.
but they went in business together.
Yeah.
Stu and Bruce Willis, of course, was part of the trio there.
Mm-hmm.
And
Do they
but
still have the Planet Hollywood down in Florida?
yeah, we do
Yeah.
actually. I
Yeah.
went there a while back, a month or
Right.
two ago, to take pictures because I knew they did have
Yeah.
the display inside, but the whole place has been renovated. It
Okay.
used to look like a gigantic globe, and
Yep. And that's
it
the
had
one
big,
at Disney, right?
yeah, and it
Yeah.
had big squares of handprints with
Mm-hmm.
signatures on it.
Mm-hmm.
But they changed it a lot now, and now it's 3 levels, and you got to
Right.
go in each level.
Okay.
But I wanted to see if any of the Rocky stuff was still there, and
Mm-hmm.
I just asked to walk around. They don't
Yeah.
care.
No,
And it
we
was the Apollo Rocky 4 Uncle Sam costume was
mm-hmm.
there,
Yeah.
and the Rocky 3 robe and
Mm-hmm.
shoes were there.
Sure. Okay.
I didn't look around much else after that. It was pretty busy. I don't want to lean over people's tables trying to look at things.
We were there.
Yeah, that's still there though. And that I know that there's like only 2 or 3 of them left, not many.
Mm-hmm.
But when they opened it, it was massive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was
massive.
all over the place, right? LA, New York.
It was every big city you could think
Mm-hmm.
of. It was every tourist place you could think of. People were going in, paying who knows what for a hamburger.
Yeah.
Get a look at Arnold's leather jacket. It was pretty cool.
But they had all kinds of movie memorabilia in the mall, right? So we went to the one in Florida in 2008. We took our kids to Disney World, and of course, we told the kids, look, you tell us what you want to do, but there's a few things that Dad wants to do, and Planet Hollywood for lunch. We went there, and we had lunch, and they had the Judge Dredd statue there at the time. They had the Maverick flight suit. They had Dorothy's dress, and it was really cool. We got some really good pictures back in the day, but it was definitely fun. But when you talked about that, the rivalry, there was that. I'm not saying it was a solid friendship, but they worked together, right? Because the bodybuilders
I take it as I take it as a sports rivalry.
Yeah.
If I'm playing against a player that is good, and and
it's a respect
can go
thing
against me, well, it's a respect thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's also a little bit of a anger, a hatred, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But it's nothing. I mean, I doubt they wanted to fight each other.
And the picture I'm putting up right now, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Franco Columbu, and Sly. Franco Columbu actually helped train Sly for I believe it was Rocky 2.
Yeah.
Right. 1979. So
yeah, that's when he first started really getting serious about the weightlifting.
Mm-hmm.
And he had Franco, and then Franco continued to help him.
Yeah.
For Rocky 3 and whatnot.
And I read one time Sly's advice is never get in a bench press competition with Franco Columbu because he will not give up. And I believe Sly blew at his pec doing that.
Oh, he probably did. I mean, Franco Columbu was a beast.
That's a bit of the story that I've heard. That's why when he started putting the tattoos on, right? Because he had the veins.
Yeah, I read after Balboa when his chest got real odd looking. I guess you could say. I didn't think it was, but he did. Yeah, and all the veins were there, and it was pretty prominent on how it looked. He didn't care for it, so he went and did that. And I guess he wanted to even it out with the other side. To each his own.
I know he jokes is once you start with the canvas, right? Yeah, it's hard to stop. So, but hey, that's his choice, and it looks good. I think it looks great. But we've got other pictures here we're throwing up here. The bromance, as you call it, right? So
yeah, that's
I think
that's what it is. It's a mutual respect. They knew what they had. They were both massive mega stars of the 80s and 90s.
Well, then we get them finally working together in Expendables, right?
Yeah.
And it took a long time. I was kind of hoping we were going to see maybe a Rambo and Commando connection
crossover,
but Expendables. And so Arnold, the story is Arnold did Expendables as a favor for Sly. He was governor at the time.
First one. Yeah. And the first one he did for nothing. He did it as a cameo and favor to Sly. And then, of course, 2 and 3 and escape plan. And, he got paid for that. But now, they're buddies now and good friends. And actually, from what I understood was when Arnold was running for governor of California, he invited Sly to some of the campaign stuff,
Okay. Yep.
and Sly's said he didn't want to go,
Mm-hmm.
and his wife said, Arnold's like offering an olive branch, let's put this aside.
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly that, again, it's on the internet, so it's true. So, I mean, if Sly was here, we could ask him, but until then,
Yeah.
we have to go by what we read on Google.
Sure.
And that's what I read, and hopefully, maybe that was the reason why.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. But there's no doubt. I mean, we didn't touch on every movie just because there's too many. Like these guys now, and I think too, when he did the Expendables and he did Escape Plan, it kind of kickstarted. He'd gotten out of politics now, Arnold, and he back into the movies, and then he had Last Stand, and he had Eraser, and a few of these other movies, right? So he did another couple Terminators, right? So it almost, I felt that it almost kickstarted him back into Hollywood again.
Well, yeah, I'm
sure.
Right? I'm sure as governor of California, it wasn't going to be okay to make action movies.
No, it wasn't, and
that's
a
big break.
When he did that, he did it on, I believe it was a Sunday morning, 5 a.m. They filmed, so it wasn't on government time, right? Like he said, he filmed the movie, did the cameo, and you had Bruce Willis, Schwarzenegger, and Stallone in one scene, and I don't think anybody ever thought that was going to happen, right? Until the Expendables. So again, we were fortunate to have it, right? So, but massive hits in the 80s. Commando was one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, he has a picture up right now of Schwarzenegger in Commando.
Yeah,
and he is so big. He's so
using, as Schwarzenegger said, we're using machine guns that are strapped to helicopters, right?
Yeah,
so
you have to
bigger and better, right?
I mean, he looked like Mr. Olympia shape there.
Of course, we get a famous Rocky Balboa in Rocky 4 we have up now. So for those listening, but again, Sly, Arnie, we thank you. Our hats are off to you, gentlemen. You guys brought it and still bringing it, right? You're still putting it.
I mean, they're definitely not slowing down. That's for sure. They had the last Terminator, which was about 2 years ago now, I believe, something like that.
Yeah.
Arnold was no kid.
No.
And of course, so was, Last Blood. Sly was, not a young spring chicken anymore.
But I like the fact that they've written them into the roles where they are older and they're not just, mowing these guys down like you see in Last Blood, where, he got taken out, right? And then he had to come back, and it wasn't just like the Rambo of old where he just slaughtered everybody and a few scratches, right? Like he got banged up pretty good.
Well, Sly, being the amazing writer that he is, he knows that you're on the screen as a 70-year-old man, even if you are a former war veteran who could hand-to-hand combat as your specialty, you're aging. So there's only so much you can do. And he knew it would be completely unrealistic and torn apart if he wrote that Rambo, just like you said, mowed these guys down and took care of business. So he knew he had to tweak that a little bit.
Sure.
So, I mean, they've been doing it for years and decades, for that matter. And it didn't really slow down in the 80s. I mean, the 90s were very good to both of them. 90, like we said, you had Rocky 5 and Total Recall.
Yeah, and also Arnold put his hat back in the comedy ring with Kindergarten Cop in 1990, which was actually a very big success.
Oh, it was huge.
Yeah.
It was huge. I mean, there wasn't a person alive that wasn't saying it's not a tumor.
Yeah. But you know what? It was a good movie. It was just a fun movie to be with, because you've got this, bigger than life macho, cop who's dubbing as a kindergarten teacher, right? So, and he has no idea what to do, right? So I think we've all seen Kindergarten Cop, but I really enjoyed it.
I did too. It was a well done film, and again, touching base on the comedy.
Yeah,
where he went and did that. Let's see, 93 there was Cliffhanger.
Yep,
and Demolition Man for Sly.
And then 91. Excuse me, I think we passed over Terminator 2.
Oh, I'm sorry, we did pass over.
Yeah,
we went from 90 to 93,
and that was, box office wise, the biggest Terminator there was.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah, that was no contest that year because Sly put out Oscar
Yeah.
and Arnold put out Terminator 2.
Yeah. Now
And
Oscar, I mean, Oscar was a fun movie, right?
mhm.
But
No, it is. It is a fun movie. And
mhm,
He has good comedy chops.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
not like he doesn't. Some people can't pull it off. Some people can't
No,
do the comedy,
no.
but he could. But Terminator 2 was just so big,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
big. It was ridiculously big.
And another another fantastic soundtrack for Terminator 2, right? So no, it was good.
And so now we'll talk about '93.
Sorry,
Cliffhanger.
I didn't want to pass up on Terminator
No.
2. So
I'm glad you caught that. That was Cliffhanger, Demolition Man, and Arnold had Last Action Hero,
right. So Last
which again
Action
wasn't
Hero.
that bad.
No,
It
you
really
know what?
wasn't.
People pass over it a lot, but it's actually a pretty good movie.
Yeah.
And we get some ribs in there from each other. So it's good. No, it was a good movie, but Demolition Man, wow, that was a great one.
Yeah, it was good. And also, one of my other favorite non-Rocky movies is Cliffhanger,
Sure,
which I
absolutely, right.
really enjoy Cliffhanger. Yeah, I really
Yeah,
liked Cliffhanger.
right. And
Thought it
then
was very well done.
so
What's that?
94 from Sly, we get, or excuse me, from Arnold, we get True Lies.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
then
That was a good film as well. And then Sly had The Specialist that year.
right. So
Uh,
again, they're back and forth, right? And you know, maybe not heavily into the rivalry, but they're just putting out action movies at this point, right? So
well, the studios are just it's a money train.
mhm.
They see it's not stopping. So why
Yeah,
would you stop?
no, it's good.
You're making a film with Arnold or Sly,
Yeah,
it's making mega box office money. There's no
right.
reason in the world they should stop.
Hmm.
Everybody's making money.
Hmm.
You stop when it doesn't make money.
Right.
That's when you
Yeah.
put an end to it. But they definitely had a stretch there. I mean, the 80s and the 90s were it was huge.
Yeah.
It was massive. It was massive, and the films are still around. So that goes to show
Hmm.
you also how well it was, because it's not like Sly did Rocky and then did a bunch of no name or B
No, that's right.
movies or whatever, or same thing with Arnold. Not like he did Terminator
Hmm.
and then a bunch of who was in that again.
Yeah, that's right.
These are big movies that are standing the test of
Hmm.
time, that
Hmm.
are still around, still want to be watched.
Yeah.
So it was something that I honestly don't think you'll see again.
No, that's right.
I don't really think you'll see somebody or two people for that matter
Hmm.
control almost 2 decades of box office films.
That's right. Yeah.
I
So
can't
we
really
know,
see.
we've been down Sly's movies. I thought we'd just talk a little bit on Arnie's movies. What's your favorite Schwarzenegger movies?
Oh man, I'd have to say probably Terminator. I mean, I
Yeah.
hate to be the it's like saying Sly, your favorite movie's Rocky,
Hmm.
but it was so different and so good at the
Yeah.
time.
Hmm.
I did like 2 and the rest of them as
Hmm.
well. I did like Predator, and I liked
Yeah.
all of them. I really did.
Yeah.
There's very few his movies I didn't like,
Yeah.
but the Terminator was just it was awesome, and it
Yeah.
was
It
one of
Terminator
a
was good.
kind. Came
Hmm.
out at a good time, so well done. But yeah,
Hmm.
that's probably my favorite. How
Yeah.
about you?
You know what? It's kind of corny, but the first one I'll grab is Commando.
Oh, is
I
it?
love it. I love it's the first Schwarzenegger movie I ever saw,
You're like a
and I don't know if
12-year-old Alyssa
that's yeah.
Milano.
And I mean, I was 12 when it came out. But no, it was larger than life. It was maybe it was just the cheesy one-liners. I love the Terminator,
Yeah.
right? And I love Predator. Predator and Commando is kind of a toss up.
Yeah, Predator was one of my favorites as
But
well.
if I had to grab one, I'm grabbing Commando.
All right,
I
there
know it's
you go.
corny, but I love it. It's just one of those movies where you don't have to think about it. We've
There
watched it with some buddies, and we all cut it up as we're watching it,
right.
and we still love it. Like
Yeah.
we cut it up the whole movie, and like he killed that guy twice already. I think that guy, like he's in the shed and throwing the saw blades, and
Right.
and the lines are unbelievable. Like the one-liners that just it almost makes you groan, but you repeat them,
Oh, yeah.
and yeah, it's just Commando is one of my favorites.
But it's just like anything. I mean, back then when you heard the one-liners, you were, in the movie, you were, where's it coming? You know it's
Yeah, yeah,
coming.
yeah, yeah.
Where is it going to be? You
That's right.
knew Arnold was going to say it, but then also too, some of the others had one-liners, like in
Mm-hmm.
Predator,
Mm-hmm.
and not just Arnold said the one-liners.
Yeah.
That was a macho testosterone
Well, I
filled,
mean, we get Carl Weathers and Schwarzenegger at the first of the movie, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody doesn't know when he walks in and he says, "Dylan, you son of a bitch," right? And the big macho handshake and the
Yeah.
muscles and of course it turns into like a bit of an arm wrestling
Yep.
feat and Schwarzenegger just laughs and he goes, "What's the matter? You got pushing too many pencils?" So it's just that macho
That's another
great.
one I'm surprised has not been invited to the Expendables
Yeah.
cast is Carl
Yeah.
Weathers.
Yeah.
Because not only when he did Predator, he had Action Jackson, so he had his toes in action movies as
Mm-hmm.
well in
Right.
that time period. So I would love to know the people that are, they would
Mm-hmm.
like to have in there. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure some of it is scheduling.
Yeah.
I doubt it's money.
Two guys I wanted to see in the Expendables were Carl Weathers and Kurt Russell. I was
Yeah,
hoping they
well,
would
yeah,
add them.
he's another one. He
Right.
had
Right.
Escape from New York, Escape from LA,
Mm-hmm.
Tango and Cash, of course, is a little more
Yeah.
of an action comedy.
Yeah.
He I'm sure many people in the cult following of this film, Big Trouble in Little China.
Big Trouble in Little China. Right. Yeah.
That was
So,
that's an interesting film if you haven't seen it.
yeah, it's good. No, they're really good. And he did his hand of comedy too. He, with Overboard with Goldie
Mhm.
Hawn, right? So
Yeah. Yeah, he did real well with that. But I would like to see them too. But again, you never know why they're not in it. It could
mhm,
be scheduling. I'm sure plays a huge part.
right.
Excuse me. And if you can't, you can't get them there when you need them. What are
Yep.
you gonna do?
That's
You
right.
can't delay the whole production. So
Yeah.
I'm sure there's many others that we aren't thinking of right off the top of our head that could be in there. But
Yeah. No, but
yeah.
we'd be interested to see in the comments. I know I can just see Rick Babcock yelling at me right now saying, avenging Angelo, avenging Angelo. So it's on that list too, Rick.
It's a movie we like.
Every time we do Sly picks, he gives it to me. So but yeah,
It's one of
there's
his
so many
favorites.
good movies, and then Schwarzenegger had Last Stand in 2006, which was a great movie.
I didn't hear what you said.
Last Stand.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that
So,
was a good movie. It was definitely a good movie. But it's like you said, I like that the older films now, or I should say the older films, the older they are in films.
yeah.
I like that they're making it more realistic as far as their age. They could still do things, but they're
Mhm.
not running around like it's 85 anymore.
No, that's right.
So it makes it a little more believable.
Yeah.
Even if you're watching something for 2 hours that is make believe anyway, you still want it to be
Mm-hmm.
a little realistic.
No, that's right.
A little bit. Like when Rambo's blowing up 150 people all at the same time, you don't care. You buy it. He's 30 years old there.
Yeah, that's right.
Years old.
Yeah.
But, so you got any trivia this week?
I think I do have some trivia. Let me just fire up my music here. Get your roller skates on,
Or rollerblades.
and we'll and whatever you have. And I tell you, Tony, that music, I love it.
Each time I see it, I like it more.
Yeah,
Brings back good memories. Good memories.
Okay.
Me falling on my butt.
Well, Age Before Beauty.
Heard. All right. Let's see. So I
thought you were going to come back with anything you say.
Well, I couldn't say that to you.
Well, I know you were the stallion, so I guess I would have had to send it to you. So,
all right. So let's see here. So Arnold,
yeah,
tricks Sly into doing "Stop or My Mom Will Shoot." Is that true or false?
Well, the story goes that is true. He was going
right.
to Arnold was going to do it, and Sly said, "I better jump on this before he does it." And maybe not one of his best. A cute movie. A cute movie. I've seen worse, but
yeah, definitely seen worse.
It's
but
not in the top 10 Sly movies.
I know he's not a fan of it either. But yeah,
Yeah.
I did hear that rumor had it Arnold kept saying he wanted it because
Right.
Sly didn't want it.
Yeah.
Sly passed on it. And Arnold just kept hearing around Hollywood, Arnold's
Right.
going to do this movie. You better jump on it. And he did. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty funny, but I'm sure it wasn't very funny to Sly. So sorry, Sly.
Hmm.
You got you on that one.
All right.
All right.
Well, okay. So you said the Terminator was your favorite movie.
Yes.
Favorite Schwarzenegger movie, excuse me.
Yes.
When is the very first time we hear Arnold say, "I'll be back"?
That is when he goes to find Sarah Connor in the police station.
Oh, very good. Very good. All right.
Yes. Scans the place around, looks around.
Now, the one thing I heard about that is I seen an interview, and he, when they were doing it, he stopped and he says, I don't think I should say it like that. And the director says, well, how do you want to say it? He goes, I will be back. And the director said, no. So
well, James Cameron knew what he's doing.
It worked out pretty good, I think.
Yeah,
he said it the way he did it, right?
It's probably a top 5 quoted movie line in history.
Yeah, that's right.
It's up there with Yo Adrian, I Did It.
Yeah,
it's about as classic as that, really, to be honest.
That's right.
All righty. So my next one is, there was a movie that was supposed to have Bruce Willis, Arnold, and Sly, but it did not happen. It's a pretty popular movie. It was made, but they were offered to be in this film and did not happen. So what film was that? And if you don't get, I'll give you a hint on the director.
What year was it?
I don't know what year it was.
Oh, no?
Okay. I really don't. I'll give you a hint. It was directed by Quentin Tarantino.
Quentin Tarantino. I'm going to think it's Reservoir Dogs.
No, but that's a good guess.
Yeah,
that's a really good guess.
Yeah, that'd be my guess, because I really like Tarantino's films.
Yeah, no, that's a really good guess. And I would have guessed Pulp Fiction because Willis was already in it.
Yeah.
But no, it was Inglourious Bastards.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
didn't know that until about an hour ago.
I thought Pulp Fiction, but I thought that's too obvious.
Yeah.
Because he was in it, but I'm surprised about that. That's pretty good. All right.
Yeah. I know, but you could see, I mean, in Pulp Fiction, you could kind of see maybe Sly playing one of those roles. You could pick one out and you could see him playing. But Arnold, I don't know about that one. I don't know about Arnold. Maybe Arnold to play the Gimp. Maybe not Arnold.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
I'm just kidding.
Arnold like that.
Just kidding.
He's still a pretty big dude, Tony.
I know, right? He is. All right, you're up.
All right. What Arnold Schwarzenegger movie is this line from? This isn't the movies anymore.
This isn't the movies anymore. Oh, is that Last Action Hero?
Yeah, it is, Tony. Good job. Yes.
2 for 2.
Stallion's on fire.
All right.
I'll let you go first. Right?
Well, I don't know about that. Okay. So I have here, let's just say, I'm sorry. What movie did Arnold walk past a Rambo poster and make fun of his arm?
Oh, yeah. That was Twins.
Yep.
Because he walks up to Rambo 3.
Yeah.
And he's drinking a soda, and he looks up and he goes
like, yeah.
And that's, you know what, my buddy grabbed me. We laughed about that so much, and it was a, you know what, great fun. So.
Oh yeah. All right, so you're 2 for 1.
All right,
1 for 2. 2 for 3.
Yep.
2 for 3. I don't even know what I'm talking. Listen to me.
Okay, so Jake Lloyd, the actor who played Anakin Skywalker in Phantom Menace, also starred in a movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger. What movie was it?
Oh, goodness. You got me on this one. You definitely got me on this one. Terminator 4. I have no idea.
No, it was Jingle All the Way.
Oh, it was that kid.
It was his son. Yeah. So,
okay.
Which was another.
I didn't know because of the Star Wars comparison. I didn't know.
I threw you off a little bit, but no, he was in Jingle All the Way and with Schwarzenegger, and that was a great movie too. A good Christmas movie. That's a one you can watch with the whole family.
No, you got me on that one. See, we're both 2 for 3.
There you go.
Going down in a wire. 2 for. Oh, wait, we can't be 2 for 3, can we? Yeah, we're on 5. Okay. All right. So, Arnold or Sly, which one has the highest grossing films?
Arnold or Sly? Oh, that's a tough one. I know what I want to say, but
It's kind of a trick question. It's really
yeah,
not fair.
I'm gonna say Sly.
Say Sly. It's tied.
Really?
They both have 4.1 billion in gross sales at the theater.
Jeez, eh?
4.1 billion.
They're
That's a
doing
lot of
all
money.
right.
That's a
That's
lot
why
of
they're
money.
driving around in tanks,
I know.
right? Arnold's got a tank, and
Well, funny story, real quick. When my wife and I went out to L.A. years and years ago,
mhm.
we saw Arnold driving a
Yeah,
Humvee,
yeah,
right down Rodeo Drive in
yeah,
Beverly Hills.
yeah. No, it's
Look
great.
up, and I'm like, that looks like Arnold.
Yeah,
It's got to be Arnold. Who else would be
yeah.
driving this vehicle?
Well, and he actually did buy a military tank, and he
Oh,
uses it on his property.
gee.
Yeah, no, honest, it's true story. He has people out, and I think you pay to come out for the day, all for charity, and all he does is drive over cars.
Really?
And he has a army issue tank. It had to be decommissioned, of course.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
cannot fire.
Right.
But he has a tank on it. He had it on his property in California, and he
That
would
is
run
so
over
cool.
cars and invite people to the ranch, and they would just watch him just run over stuff and wreck
Oh, I
stuff.
thought
And
you said when you had people. I thought Joe Schmoes like you and I could go and
no,
here's my $500. I want to
well,
ride over
I
cars.
think I think it is Joe Schmoes like us.
Uh,
I don't know if it's $500. It might be a lot more, but like I
right.
said, it's all for charity. I don't know if he still does it, but he did that in the
That is
in the
awesome.
90s. And he says, who doesn't want to see people drive over tanks? And and then they just send them to the wreckers. So
That
to
is
me, that
awesome.
I'd pay to see it.
I would too.
Yeah.
I would too. All right, you're up there, Canuck.
Okay, I got a good one for you.
Okay, go ahead.
Name the character, Arnold Schwarzenegger character, that says, "Let off some steam, Bennett."
Oh my goodness. I know it was Commando. I can't remember his name in Commando. Oh my God. Wait a minute.
So, yeah.
Oh my God. I don't remember. I know it was Commando, but I don't remember
Yeah.
his name in Commando.
So it's John Matrix.
Oh, Matrix. That's
Yeah.
right.
So that was
That's right.
another one of the corny lines. So
All right. So here's the last one. It's kind of
okay,
a
okay.
toss up one again, a 50-50 shot, I guess
Mhm.
you could say. So Arnold or Sly, which one had the highest grossing film? Was it Terminator 2
Mhm.
or was it Rambo 2? Rambo First Blood 2.
Mm. I'm gonna say it was Terminator 2: Judgment Day.
Terminator 2 Judgment Day, 520 million
Yeah,
versus 381 million for Rambo 2.
massive hit, right? So I think we
Yeah,
saw
you
that in
put
the
that in
theater.
today's dollars. I mean, a $500 million.
Yeah.
That's over $1 billion
Yep.
in today's money. That's crazy. But yeah, that's all. That's all I got. I don't really have a lot of them.
No.
I did have one more,
Okay.
but it's an easy one. I know you're
All
gonna
right.
get it. That's why I didn't ask it.
Hmm.
What movie did Arnold take a jab at Sly, where Sly was on the poster of Terminator 2?
Oh, you know what? Like I said, I got a friend that we like to do movie quotes, and we actually just talked about this last night. That was The Last Action Hero.
The last action, yeah, there
Because
you
they
go.
walk into I think it's the
The
Blockbuster,
blockbuster
and the
video.
kid says, "Look at that, that's not him." And he goes, "Yeah, he's a big star. He's a big star, yeah." And Sly's dressed up in the Terminator.
Yep. Have you seen that on the internet where they do the face swap and Sly
Yeah,
is the
yeah,
Terminator?
yeah,
He could have pulled it off.
yeah. Maybe.
He could have pulled it off. But I
No.
mean, it's hard to see somebody else in any role that's so legendary.
Yeah. No, that's right.
I could never see anybody else as Rocky.
Nope.
I can't, or Rambo for that matter.
No, that's right.
Same thing with Terminator. Like I just can't see anybody else as the Terminator.
Hmm.
No matter how big and muscular they are, it doesn't work.
No, that's right. Even when they remade Total Recall, and they did another version of Death Race with Jason Statham, which was actually a pretty good movie. But you're right. Rocky, Rambo, Commando, Predator, Terminator, forget it. Those are taken.
Yeah, you can't. Well, it drives me crazy. That's all they do is remake movies now. It's like there's no originality coming out on screenplays anymore or on movies anymore. But having said that, I like some movies I could see
Yeah.
them. Like if they remade Cliffhanger, it wouldn't disturb me if somebody was playing Gabe Walker's role
Mm-hmm.
in Cliffhanger. I would
Yeah.
be like, oh yeah, Stallone did that first. That's a cool
Yeah.
movie.
Mm-hmm.
But Rambo and Rocky, you can't touch those. That's just sacred ground there. And I think that Hollywood kind of knows that the certain movies are sacred ground.
That's
But
right.
they just don't remake them anyway with
Mm-hmm.
different people.
Mm-hmm.
Like to think that anyway.
No, that's right. Well, no, this was fun. We love talking Sly. I love talking Arnie. Some of the biggest blockbusters that in the '80s and the '90s, even
Yeah.
2000s, right? So
Yeah, between the film blockbuster, I mean, you mention 5 of their movies each to anybody in the world, they're going to know them.
yeah.
You mention their names to anybody in the world, they're going to know them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows Arnold. Everybody
Right.
goes and I'll be back and goes to
Right.
imitate him.
Mm-hmm.
Sly the same way. Yo, Adrian. Everybody knows them.
Yeah.
They're just so out of this world as far as stardom goes, and even still to this day. Even
Mm-hmm.
still to this day, there are a lot of unfortunately, people die when they get older. That's the way it works.
Mm-hmm.
You can mention, say, Paul Sorvino,
Mm-hmm.
rest in peace. Great movies, great films, but nothing against Paul Sorvino's career, and by any means, with all due respect.
Mm-hmm.
You mention his name worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're not getting that same
No.
reaction.
Mm-hmm.
And again, Mr. Savino's family, no disrespect by any means.
Right.
I love that. I loved his acting. Did a great job,
Mm-hmm.
and I appreciate us still having him around on film.
Mm-hmm.
But when you mention certain names in anything,
Mm-hmm.
you mention Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows Tom Brady's name.
That's right.
Whether you like football or not. It doesn't mean other quarterbacks aren't as
Yep.
known.
Yeah.
They're just not as worldwide known.
That's right. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Jordan,
Yeah.
right? Babe Ruth, Derek Jeter.
Yeah.
There's certain names right?
That everybody knows. I mean, like I said to you last episode, I know nothing about hockey. I know Wayne Gretzky.
That's right.
I don't like basketball. I don't know anything about it. I know Michael Jordan.
Yeah. We know Jack Nicholson. We know Tiger Woods, right? We know these names, right?
But when you talk about film, you talk about film actors that everybody knows. They're going to mention these guys. But you mention the action heroes or the movies that were 80s and 90s. That 2 of 3 names are going to come up, and the only one that's missing is Bruce Willis.
That's right.
Sly and Arnold just dominated 2 decades worth of movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
then you know what? They weren't. It wasn't like they came on and everything was successful in the beginning, right? They both struggled. They both worked hard. Both of them were told, you're not going to be able to do this. You can't do this. Sly struggled, and then he wrote Rocky, right? Arnold struggled. Arnold was a bodybuilder, and then he said, I want to get into movies, and he was told impossible.
Think about that. I mean, Arnold's journey from Austria to coming to the United States to becoming Mr. Olympia. And then, like you said, to want to do film, and nobody's going to listen to you. You have a thick accent, and they can't understand you. He didn't listen to that. And then the man goes on to be governor of California.
Yeah, that's right.
You could not, if you wrote that movie and you watched that movie, you go, come on, man, what is it? This is so unrealistic.
Yeah. But he did it, right?
He lived it.
So 2 guys that started with very little, right? And became 2 of the biggest, and still are, right? I mean, we've got Samaritan coming out. We've got Expendables coming out. We've got the Tulsa King coming out. Sly isn't slowing down, right? 76 years old. He's not slowing down at all.
He has more energy than I do, and I'm 20 years younger. So, Sly, give me some tips again. Help me out here.
Yeah, we absolutely appreciate everything you do, gentlemen. Sly, we are so looking forward to Tulsa King and the Samaritan, which comes out later this month.
Yep.
Right. So very excited. And anyways, Tony, this was fun. I had a good time.
Yeah, it was. It was a good time. I was looking forward to this episode with combating the 2 biggest action heroes that there was. So appreciate it, guys. Thanks for watching. Leave your comments down below. Maybe I know, but whatever we missed, put it down there. Maybe we could chat about it another time.
Sure.
And of course, if you're just watching us and don't subscribe, please do. subscribe and like, and I appreciate you. Good
Yeah.
episode as always, my brother.
And episodes 1 to 10 are now streaming on YouTube, and for audio versions, listen to us on the Last of the Action Heroes podcast network. Tony and I were just guests on It's a Long Road, which is also on, you can see the YouTube feed, and the audio feed is up now as well. If you want to listen to us in the car because you're sick of our faces. No, it's
I
good.
want to get the audio version. Yeah.
Anyways, thanks very much for your support, guys, as always, and we'll see you down the road.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
See you guys.